Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Like, the energy of this video is going to feel like a friend yelling at you, but in a good way. It's what am I doing to contribute to this situation? Like, the idea of like gender roles, crazy. I'm never, ever, for as long as I live, will I ever tell a female, depend on a man. You don't need him to pay the bill, but you're going to expect him to pay the bill. Hey, what's up? What's poppin'? We're back. The Ladies Always Win podcast. I'm Law. As the sign says, Miss Ladies Always Win. Today's episode, I am here solo dolo again. But today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Like, the energy of this video is going to feel like a friend yelling at you, but in a good way. Because we're talking about something that kind of grinds my gears a little bit. And yeah, I just feel like I really want to come at you with that like loving big sister, like shake you energy. So yeah, I want this episode to have like the vibe of just, I'm like shaking some sense into you of like, why are you doing this? And the episode is about having Cinderella complex. And I feel as though I get a lot of DMs, right, from girls of all walks of life, having relationship problems, or they're not happy with their life, they're not happy with their body, they're not happy with a lot of things. And I just get so mad because sometimes a lot of these things, it's all like, most of the time you can fix your own problems. And I don't think a lot of people look at their situation like that. A lot of people have this like victim mindset that everything is happening to them, right? This person is doing this to me. This is happening to me. I have this like innate ability to take myself out of any situation and look at it from a third perspective and just figure out and analyze it. Like, how do I fix it? How do I whatever? With no emotions, right? Like, not feeling like, this person is that. Like, I can feel those emotions and I'll feel like, man, like, fuck that person. Like, they were mean to me. But I'm not, like, I'll almost understand, like, well, I get it. Like, you know, they had this going on. Not excusing them, but I'm able to just, like, do that. So when I get all these DMs and all these messages, I just want to shake everybody because I'm like, everyone has this Cinderella complex, which is this term that I created that's basically that you feel as though someone is going to just come into your life and save you, and then everything's going to get great. And that's just not true, right? If we all saw the Cinderella movie, she was like the sister, she had like the two, I think she was like the stepsister, I don't even know. I just remember watching it as a kid, and like her sisters bullied her, you know, Prince Charming came, whatever, a bitch lost a fucking shoe. How do you lose a glass shoe? I don't know. Either or, her life sucked, and then one day a man came, ironically, and saved it. And I think that that's like the narrative that you get taught as a little girl, is that, you know, especially as a female, right? Like, we get taught growing up that a man's supposed to take care of you. This is gonna happen, yada yada yada. Just make sure that like you look pretty, and you know that you know how to cook and clean, and then a man one day is just gonna come in and save your life. That can very well happen, but I think it is so detrimental to teach this to girls, because it's like, I think females, just anyone in general, right? I think females especially need to know, how do you become self-sufficient to not need anybody? Because everyone has this thought that someone's coming to save me, they end up sitting in these really terrible toxic situations. And I feel like the moment that you realize that nobody is coming to save you is the second that you save yourself. That's when everything changes. That's when you're like, wait a minute. And you realize that like you're kind of the writer of your own story. It's almost like lucid dreaming, which, guys, if you don't know, I have like a really weird thing with lucid dreaming. Like, my dreams are wild, like for real. Again, I've been talking about it on live sometimes. If you know anything about lucid dreaming is basically where you are in a dream and then you realize you're dreaming and then you can start controlling things, right? And I feel like that is what happens when you break the Cinderella complex. You're in your life, and in a dream, you don't have any control over what's happening. You're kind of just floating through. Things are happening to you. But the second that you lucid dream, when you become conscious that, wait a minute, this is a dream, you can start changing shit. You can start flying. You can have Justin Bieber in your dream. Like, you guys can get married, whatever the fuck you want to happen, because you realize, wait, I'm in charge of this whole shit. That's what happens in your life. Your life is the same way. So the second that you realize, wait a minute, if I don't like this, I can change it. That's when shit starts to get good. Now, there are a lot of situations, right? Especially girls who live like with their parents or things like that, where there are things that you cannot control. 100%. But I think that people need to just take inventory of what they can't control and what they can control, and put their focus on what they can control and how can they start doing things over there. A lot of people who happen to be unhappy in their situations hyper focus on what they can't control. That's not going to help anything. Like, why would I hyper focus that the sky is blue? I can never change the color of the sky. No matter how much I might hate the color blue, which I actually like blue. If I hate the color blue and I don't like looking at it, I got to figure something else out. I can't control the color of the sky. So instead of me putting my energy into that, I would then have to realize, what sunglasses could I buy that I won't see the color blue? That's going to make me happy, right? Thinking about the things that I can control to fix the situation. The biggest thing is you got to put your focus on what you can control and stop putting your focus on the things that you can't control, because that's going to help you to get out of your circumstances and your situations. And that's the thing too, like, you got to be really honest with yourself of if you have Cinderella complex, right? Because again, some people just have really, really shitty situations, like just terrible, that it's not their fault. Like, it's not their fault at all. And like, they're just in like just the worst predicament. And I feel terrible for those people. And maybe you're one of those people, but I think you have to be really honest with yourself and like really sit down and think, okay, what do I have control of in this situation? Or a question that nobody likes to ask, but this is like some real deep work, shadow work, right? Becoming aware of yourself is, what am I doing to contribute to this situation? Oh, y'all don't want to ask yourself that, because then you might realize that you're the problem. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. No, but for real though, I do that. Like, the reason why I'm like a real, like, I don't like to argue. I don't like just like fights, negative energy. It makes me like physically ill. Like, if I'm in a room and people start yelling, I physically get nauseous. I have to leave. Like, I don't like it. It just bothers me greatly. But I'm like, I'll argue, but not like in like a like argue like, you know, like yelling back and forward, almost debate, right? In another life, my name is Law. I really feel like I was a lawyer. Shout out to the show Suits. That is my show right now, and it's making me toxic, because every time I have a conversation in my brain, I'll have respecter, and I'm giving you the facts. I'm bringing out receipts, and I'm figuring out how to make the situation what I want it to be, right? Because I have like the mindset of the first thing I do when I'm upset is I think, what am I doing to make this happen? Immediately. Not self-blaming, right? I'm not sitting here telling you to blame yourself or, you know, any of that, but just taking responsibility and identifying how are you contributing to the situation. Because again, you can't control any other factor. Like, if any other factor is making you upset, you literally can't change those things. But if you think, what am I doing to do this? Boom, you can figure it out real quick and you can really get up out of it. But the reason why I feel like I do this is because when I then, let's say I'll have a problem. Let's say if I have an issue with a guy or whatever, I instantly already know, okay, what am I doing? What did I do wrong? I already know that. So when I come to a person that I have an issue with or a conflict with, you can't argue with me because I already know what I did. So you're not going to be bringing any new information to the table. I already analyzed everything, that now the only thing left is your part of it. And it's like, cool, we could sit and have a conversation about me, but I already know what I did wrong. And I think that's like a superpower, because when you're able to like analyze yourself and be real with yourself, like don't bullshit, don't lie, like really, really think about it from like a third person's perspective of you and your actions. When you're able to do that, that is like a superpower, because then nobody can fuck with you, because then nobody can tell you anything about yourself. Like I always say, nobody on this earth can hurt my feelings. There's like one or two people just because I have an emotional connection to them, but like a stranger on the fucking street, comments, trolls, nobody can hurt my feelings, because I am so hyper aware of myself that you can't tell me anything I don't already know or think, right? Like, let's say like, boom, I think I have a big forehead. I know that. If someone says that, I'll be like, yeah, I know. Sucks. God had to give me something. I'm pretty great everywhere else. And Rihanna has a big forehead. So if anything, I think that it just means I'm chosen. I have to flip it and make it a positive thing in my brain. But it's like, I already know that, right? I know every flaw, every this, every that, that at least I, don't like, or I just take inventory of it, right? Like, let's say, boom, I have a big forehead. It doesn't bother me, but I'm aware of it. I'm aware. So if someone says it, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm like, well, I already knew that. Like, oh, well, you got this, this thing right there. I know. Cool. Like, you're like the thing is that's what comes from really being hurt. A lot of hurt when someone is insulting you, it's either A, they're telling you something that you also think, right? Let's say that you think that you're fat and someone calls you fat. It's going to make you upset because they're reaffirming a belief you already have, right? That's the first way you get upset. The second way that you get upset, or someone else gets upset, is if someone is telling you a realization. That'll hurt your feelings really, really fast. And that's how I hurt people's feelings. Again, I don't get into a lot of conflicts. I avoid it at all cost. I mainly avoid it for the other person because I know myself, and I know I will just like be super nice and super kind and super loving up until there's a point. And when you go past that point, it is so polar opposite. Like from the nice, calm, it goes from that to just lethal. Like just lethal. That I try to avoid it. That's why I don't like getting in fights. So because I know that I'm like this, I'll really try not to get into arguments, whatever. Once I get past that, I know I can really hurt somebody's feelings because I'm an analyzer. Like I said, I analyze myself and I analyze other people. So when I then will start to read to you how you are, why you did what you did, why when this happened to you at 4 years old is the reason why this is happening to you at 25 years old or 27 years old, and I start to break down the psychology of your fucking life, if you've never had that realization, that's going to really upset you because it's just like, you're just gonna be, it's just a lot of emotions. It's not even about hurting your feelings. It's just, whoa, this is a lot of things to unpack. When I unpack all this stuff, when anybody's unpacking like their childhood trauma, it's emotional. It's emotional. So to have somebody else tell you all of that, it stings. It stings really bad. And so, yeah, I think that when you're able to, analyze yourself, you're able to just not get hurt. Because again, like unless someone's telling you something that you already believe, then cool, it can like really upset you. But even then, it really won't though, because it's like, okay, like, cool, I know that. Like, you're telling me this too, like, cool. Like, actually, in fact, we agree. We agree on this. That's how I look at it anyway. If I don't like something about myself and then somebody points it out, I'll go, yeah, facts, me too. Like, what do you think you're like dropping new information? Like, bitch, I knew that. This is me interrupting myself because I wanted to let you know that I just dropped a brand new song and video called Switch It Up. It is out right now on all DSPs. The video is on YouTube. All the links will be down below. So make sure that after this episode or literally right now that you guys go down there, check it out, add it to a playlist, and tag me on Instagram in a little video, if you're listening to it. But let's get back into the episode. Knowing how to analyze yourself, right, and being able to look at situations and know what you did wrong is a really just powerful thing to do. I think that in this whole having Cinderella complex, it really happens, I think, to females more. And I think that that's because as a society, which this is something that I get really, really heated about, I can make a whole episode about it. And maybe I will, but I think everyone will come for me. But who cares? Maybe someone will agree with me. I don't know. But I think that the Cinderella complex, it's mostly in females, and it comes from us as a society with our gender roles, right? If you are a male, you get taught to, work hard and to provide for your wife. And if you're a girl, you get taught learn how to cook, learn how to clean, learn how to make yourself look beautiful, so that one day a man will come into your life and, take care of you. And I have such a deep issue with these roles. Like my dad, which shout out to my dad, I might do an episode with my dad one day. He hates all this. He probably won't. My mom will do it. Oh my God. My mom will come on here and she'll talk up a storm. Yeah, me and my dad are like besties, right? We have the same birthday. Like I love my dad. Anybody who knows me, I love my dad. He's literally a picture of me and him is my screensaver. And he taught me, right, him having a daughter, he taught me all of the things that a man would do in my life so I could do it for myself, right? And again, when I was growing up, I hated it. He taught me how to change a tire, how to, check the oil in my car, how to do this, how to do that, because he wanted that when I was in the world, I could just fend for myself and I wouldn't need anybody. Right? He taught me how to cook. And he did tell me. He was like, listen, you're going to, because I told him, I said, listen, why do I need to learn? Like, he really wanted me to know how to make rice. And to this day, I don't make rice in a pot. I get the frozen bags of rice from Trader Joe's. Dad, I'm sorry. I don't make rice. But he really wanted me to know how to make like certain things. And now that I'm vegan, I don't even eat half of these things. And I remember when I was telling him, like, Dad, like, I'm just going to order food or I'm just going to do this when I'm older. And he was like, right, but like one day you might have a husband and a family and you should know how to cook for them. So even though I didn't want to know how to cook for myself, he did tell me you should have these skill sets just so that you have something, to offer to your future family, right? But at the same time, he wanted to make sure that I knew how to fix my own car so that if I didn't have a husband, I'm not going to just be out there stranded not knowing what I'm doing. I've literally been in like relationships or like dynamics with guys where I knew more about my car than them, which is like crazy. But again, and I don't think it matters. I don't think that we should have these gender roles. I think that people should just have like, they're not gender roles. They're just like society adult roles. Like I think as a child, right, you should teach your child, male or female, hey, female child, daughter, I'm going to teach you how to cook because one day when you live alone, you can't just eat ramen noodles. You're going to need to know how to eat and how to cook to feed yourself. And then maybe one day you'll also need this to know how to feed your family. Hey, son, I'm going to teach you how to cook so that when you're older, you'll know how to make your own food and survive in life. And then hopefully maybe one day a female will come into your life and maybe you guys will decide that you don't have to do that anymore. But I think you should still know how to do it. And so I think because we grow up and we don't get taught these things, that's where this mindset, like, again, like, it's even like projected to us, like I said, in the Cinderella story. Every single Disney princess story is the same thing. They just change the characters. It's woe is me, right? It's the damsel in distress, and the man comes and saves her. And then you have these people on the internet, and I see this content all the time of girls that are telling other girls, like, yeah, you know, you need to focus on this, and you know, how to get a man by looking like this, and how to get a man. Like, I feel like, how do you get him? Like, if you focus on yourself, right? If you focus on bettering up yourself, putting your time and energy into you, right? Because that's going to be your longest lasting relationship, is the one with yourself. You have to have that relationship forever till the day you die. You're not going to get rid of that one. So I think you should put the most time into that one, right? Second would come a romantic relationship because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. But first and foremost, put all your eggs in your basket, right? Build up yourself. So when I see these videos of girls and they're like, oh, this is how you're going to get a man, this is how you're going to get this. Maybe if you put the energy into how can I make money, I'm not going to be looking for a man with money because I have my own. Like that's not going to be in my brain, or because now I know that I have my own money, and then all that's obsolete. So I just feel like everyone should just be taught, okay, how can you create value for yourself as a human being in society, male or female, right? You should know the basics: cooking, cleaning, how to make your own money, how to survive in life. You should be taught these things, male or female, right? You should be taught how to create your own value as a human, right? As an own, just single person. And then if you decide to get into a relationship with a man, with a woman, you guys then in that relationship will decide, okay, who's going to do this and who's going to do that. But the idea of like gender roles, crazy, because there's so many relationships where the man cooks and the woman doesn't cook at all, or the man cleans and the woman doesn't cook, because for that dynamic, right, that's what works to them. But imagine if that man never like learned how to do those things. Like, that wouldn't work. I think everyone just needs to learn the basic skill sets, and then when you get into a relationship with your partner, you and your partner can discuss, and maybe it will be the i.e. traditional, as a woman, you don't work, you don't do anything, you just take care of the house, you take care of your husband, and then maybe your husband goes out and makes all the money. That's great, that's cool. But I just feel like I'm never, ever, for as long as I live, as long as I have a platform, as long as I have females who listen to me, will I ever tell a female, depend on a man? No. I'm always going to tell a female to make sure that you're okay by yourself, first and foremost. And then if you do have a man who can take care of you, amazing. Now, here's the thing too, right? A little side note tangent thing. And this is where the argument comes in of who should pay for a date and who should go 50-50, right? When you become self-sufficient, and again, if you want to be 50-50, cool, that's on you. But when you become self-sufficient and then you have everything that you need, when a relationship comes into your life, let's say, you know, when a man comes into your life, you don't need him to pay the bill, but you're going to expect him to pay the bill. Because it's going to be like, well, I can pay the bill myself. If that's the case, why are you here? I'm out here living my life by myself, doing what I need to do, grinding, living life. I'm happy. I have hobbies. I have friends. I make money. You coming into my life now as a relationship, like, what is that going to do for me? Again, not saying that they should be all like transaction or whatever, but I think that you just, like, you never want to be in a position of need, like, just from anyone ever in life, but especially like a romantic partner. And again, this is just how I was raised. This is what I was taught. And this is what I believe. And this is the message that I'm going to preach to women is please, 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 please just have your own situation, create your own value. And then from there, you can choose what you want to do in your dynamic. If you want to be 50-50, if you want to participate financially, or maybe you don't. But again, you'll have the option. I think the biggest thing is making sure that you have the choice and giving women the choice. When we're just telling girls, yeah, don't worry about learning a skill, don't worry about doing this, just be pretty. Now they don't have a choice. Now they literally have to find a man to take care of them because they can't provide anything financially. Even if they feel like they should not have to, right? You should still be in the position to do it if you need to. And that's kind of like, that's where most of my rage comes from with this whole Cinderella complex. It's the gender role things. I have a whole tidbit of just society, projecting certain identities with gender. I really don't like it at all. But, different conversation. But yeah, I get all these DMs, I get all these messages of girls that are just like, oh my God, like, help me. And I'm like, babe, I can't help you. You have to help yourself. You have to. So I think that, the biggest takeaway that I hope anyone listening to this is that you just learn how you can identify yourself and how you can identify what you're doing to create your situation so that you can get out of it. Truthfully. But yeah, don't have Cinderella complex, guys. Don't do it. Trust me, you can save yourself. You are your own superhero. Forget about trying to get your dream man. Become your dream you. Just know that you have the power and the capability to change your situation within you. You don't need anybody else. You don't need someone to come and discover you or someone to come in and like love you. No, like you could do all of those things for yourself. So anything that you're waiting for somebody else to come do, I would highly suggest you start doing it for yourself. And 9 times out of 10, you attract what you are, right? You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So when you become these things that you want, you're then going to attract them to you, which that was like a little manifest nugget. Anyway, guys, if you haven't left a review, what's going on here? Let's change it. Leave a nice little raving 5-star review or whatever, Apple Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify and you have an iPhone, you know what to do. Just go over there, leave a little review. We're giving away $100 for a gift card, so you might as well. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. Tag me on Instagram, dude. I love seeing how you guys watch the podcast, like on a walk, doing this on the treadmill. Tag me. I love seeing it. I'll repost it. And yeah, I will see you guys next Wednesday. Be your own Cinderella.